Hello, 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 good people. Hello, good people. I am Dr. Hollie Kelly, and this is Dr. Kelly's perspective for Wednesday, 8/8, 8/8/18. So thank you for all who are joining me on both platforms. I want to come before you for a few moments this morning, and you will see that I've entitled this perspective, Why the Silence? What's going on with the silence? I believe there's a reason for the vast majority of everything that we do or not do. And so because I was in this situation last week, it came back to mind. I had been invited to a working group, and big conference room, tables, uh, big conference table, and there were chairs obviously around the table. And then there was a back row of seats all along the entire room. And so I had to figure out where was I going to be seated. I had been invited into the room. I didn't bust my way in. I didn't ask for an invite. I was summoned to the room. Thank you for all who are joining me. And so the question becomes, once you've been invited into the room, when I say the room, I'm talking about the seat of authority, the place where decisions are happening, where discussions are being held that lead to not further discussions, but decisions. Authority is in the seat of the room. And so if you are invited in the room, where do you sit? And then do you have anything to contribute? So I watched and I observed, and I saw a couple of things that are going to show up in the perspective today. Some who came into the room, everybody had been invited. Okay, nobody just found their way or stumbled their way into the room. Everyone had been invited, but the seat around the table were for specific people who had contributions to make. They had something to contribute to the decision, to the pool of conversations that were going on that would lead to the authority to act on something. Listen to me. Well, thank you. Good morning, Brian. Listen to what I'm saying, because everything I'm talking about, I typically don't stray far from leadership. And when I say leadership, I'm not talking about only if you have the role of supervisor or manager, or if you're in a specified leadership billet, because leadership is transferable. If you can lead in the workspace, you can lead in your home, you can lead on teams, you can lead in your church, you can lead in the school, fill in the blank. Leadership skills are transferable. And too many times when we have the invite into a place where decisions are being made, we run and jump our little hips up to the table, and we're clueless about any contributions to make. We just want to be at the table. We just want to be in the room where it's all happening. But if you are clueless and have zero to contribute, you might want to take a seat on the back row. You're still in the room. You absolutely are still in the room, but sometimes you put yourself on Front Street and your lack of knowledge on full blast when you run to the front seat around the table with zero to contribute. Sometimes we just need to be happy to have gotten the invitation, because at least that puts you in a position to be in the know. You learn to operate in a decision space. You learn, you listen, you observe how things and how people operate when they are making decisions. You learn the kind of things that are brought to the table, how they're presented. Some of us do not need to run and be quick to get around the table, knowing we don't have anything to contribute, knowing that we are clueless. We really are clueless. And as soon as you open your mouth, it is evident to those who are around the table and should be there. I don't know who's sending smiley faces, but I am so serious, because it is an ugly sight. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to watch those who probably should be along the back walls, learning and listening and just being grateful to be in the room, because now I get a chance to see how this thing works. I'm going to look, I'm going to learn, I'm going to listen. I'm going to observe. I'm going to be diligent. I'm not just going to be woohoo, I'm happy to be in the room. No, you're there on purpose to learn, to observe. So that should be one of the reasons for silence. We need to develop the confidence to be prepared. Thank you, Brian. Long distance high five. Because confidence is the other part of that. It does take a certain level of confidence to come and sit at the table knowing that you have something to contribute from your own perspective, knowing that you have a valid and a relevant contribution to make to the discussion. That doesn't just happen automatically. Even if you're a title holder, it doesn't just happen. You have to build up your courage muscles to be able to do that. And then we already know that silence, you've heard the saying that your silence is consent. If you are in the room and you understand why you're in the room, why you received the invite, if you do not agree with the decision that is being made at that power place of the table and you remain silent, you have just relinquished your power. And you told everyone in the room that you consent. I agree. If you don't agree, please, for God's sake, have the courage to speak up. Have the courage to speak up. You're already in the room. You've already received the invitation. You didn't bust down the door and come in and make your way in. You received the invitation to be in the room. So why waste your spot in the room at the table with silence? Because you're afraid to speak out, because you're afraid to, oh my goodness, I can't believe all these people agree. Maybe I should too. You're wasting the opportunity. You might be in the room to grant courage to those who are around the table or around the wall because they know you don't agree and you've got the courage to speak up. So you got to figure out what your silence is. What's going on with the silence? Either you are silent because your lack of courage to speak out, to be the odd man out, or there's some wisdom in your silence because you're in the learning mode, clueless, and you know you're clueless. And so you figure, let me just stay put and keep my mouth closed and watch how this all works from the back row. Eventually you'll get to the table, but you got to have a contribution to make once you're at the table. It's not just about woohoo, I was woohoo. Did you see those other people wanting to be in here? I got the invite. You better have something to contribute, or you better at least know that you're in the learning mode to have as to the reason why you got in the room, as the reason to why you got the invite. Okay, so I just see people wreck themselves, wreck their professional reputations by moving too quickly to the table with very little to contribute when they should be in the learning mode from the back row, or there's a tremendous loss of respect when you do not agree and yet you do not open your mouth, walk in your purpose, and speak up and speak out with your non-concurrence. Okay, so the room is the place of position, the place of decision making. It is the place where authority wields its stance. And if you're in the room, there's a reason. There's a reason. Figure it out. But please don't wreck yourself by jumping too soon to a place that you're not ready. It's okay to be in the learning mode, especially if you know you need to learn. Okay, that is my perspective for today. I am hopeful that you can take it and use it, apply it to an area of your life. It's not just for the boardroom. Check out what's going on in your own families. Until next time, take real good care of yourselves.